Hey, how's everyone doing today? It's Ash the Coyote here, and I'm a little sick. I got the con-crud. So with all the recent news about the coronavirus, I decided to make today's video to talk about the con-crud. 5 ways in which we can avoid getting sick at conventions, and 5 mistakes that I've made while attending conventions. Before we get started, do you have any tips or tricks for avoiding the con-crud? Let me know in the comments section below. So what is the con-crud? Well, it's any number of illnesses. It's a myriad of things. The con-crud is essentially an illness that you catch at a convention. Conventions being a rather large event with an international audience, of course you bring a lot of different germs and things into the mix. And this can lead to getting sick really easily. Like you can catch any number of things from it. Like I did. I'm a sick coyote. Alright, so let's start with the positive. 5 ways to stay well at conventions. Number 1, take a vitamin and plenty of emergency or vitamin C supplements. Now, I know there's been news articles and things that have kind of circulated around questioning the validity and value of taking vitamins for your health, but I can say that, at least in the past, for me, it's helped. And I do feel like supplementing yourself with vitamin C to help support a healthy immune system and trying to fortify your body with essential nutrients while attending a convention is important, because ultimately that's going to help you have a stronger chance of avoiding getting sick. Now, it doesn't always work, and it's not foolproof, and it's certainly not a cure-all, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. So that's why I would suggest take a daily vitamin. You know, bring a pack of emergency with you. Take one every day. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, you know, like emergency has B12 and it gives you a little bit of energy and it helps you focus, and on top of that, hopefully, it will help bolster your immune system. Number 2, don't share drinks. This is one that I am insanely guilty of. You get a fantastic drink from the bar, or you make a fabulous concoction in your room, and of course you want everybody to try it. Bad idea. Just terrible idea. Like, this is the worst idea you could possibly have. When you share your drink, not only does that alcohol not sanitize that, it's actually helping to spread your germs, mixing with other people's germs, and pretty soon you got the whole convention sick. It's just something that, I know this sounds like common sense, but me being a coyote, I'm not the common sense coyote. When you share your drinks, not only does alcohol lower your immune system and make you more susceptible to getting sick, but you're also spreading germs around through contact. Now, I know a lot of people think that alcohol sanitizes. Now, that's true, but it has to be a high enough concentration. Like, we're talking like Everclear. We're not talking like a mixed drink from the bar or a beer or something like that. That's not going to sanitize stuff. So when you're going around at conventions, whether it's an alcoholic beverage or a soda pop or an energy drink or anything like that, try to avoid sharing drinks. Number 3, good hygiene. This is just another kind of common sense one, but really, good hygiene is important to staying healthy at conventions anyways. So this is like, you should always take a shower, of course. You should wash your hands after going to the bathroom. You should wash your hands after interpersonal interactions. It's just one of those things, especially during cold and flu season. You can stop the spread of these illnesses just by simply taking the proper precautions like that. Wash your hands after touching stuff in public. It's not that hard. It doesn't take that much time, but it will keep you healthy. And be mindful of the spaces that you're in. So, like, if you do have a cough or a sneeze or something that's going on, now, you know, like, you might not actually be sick at the time, but you could still spread germs that could get somebody else sick. Try and use a tissue. Try and cover your mouth. Wash your hands after you cough or sneeze. Number 4, stay hydrated. I think it's pretty easy to overlook staying hydrated. Dehydration will ultimately lead to you slowly compromising your immune system. And when you're at a convention, especially if you're a suitor like me, it's very easy to get dehydrated. I mean, when I am out suiting, I'm drinking a lot of water. I mean, a ton. I mean, I'll go into the Fursuit lounges and down 6 or so cups of water while I'm just sitting there, and then I'll go out and probably sweat all that out. Hydration is so important to staying healthy at a convention. And this is beyond getting the con-crud. This is beyond everything. It's just important to your health. Active suitors, people who attend cons and, you know, like dance in suit or suit a lot. If you're suiting every day of the convention, or if you're just out and about a lot, staying hydrated can make the difference between getting sick or not. Staying hydrated can make the difference between having a great con or not. The last thing that you want as an attendee is to be the person who gets loaded on that ambulance because they got heat exhaustion or heat stroke from suiting. Oh, and did I mention the medical shares? Yeah, they will cut off your fursuit. Literally, they'll just cut it off. They don't unzip that thing, they cut it off you, and it's gone. Number 5. Avoid overindulging. It's a con, and conventions are supposed to be parties, and they're supposed to be fun, and you're supposed to enjoy yourself, and for a lot of folks, this might be your only break that you have for a significant amount of time. This might be the only time you have off to relax. This might be the only time you get to just cut loose. But think twice about having that extra shot before bed or before going the extra mile on your party. Like, that can make the difference between ending up happy and healthy after the con, not missing work and having a great time, or ending up like I am right now, where I am sick, and I've been sick for basically a whole week, and I'm still sick recording this video. That sucks. It's awful because, like, you do eventually have to go back to work. Life's not a giant party. Well, it is for some, but not for me. Just try and pace things out. There will always be another convention. There's always going to be another party. There will always be another chance to cut loose. You don't need to get it all out of the way at once that very minute. Try and pace yourself. Try and take it a little easier, especially during cold and flu season. Alright, now on to my favorite. The 5 mistakes that I've made that have ultimately led me to get the con-crud multiple times. Now, for this list, we're going to switch it up a little, and I'm going to start with number 5. Number 5, for me, eating at the hotel buffet. I know, right? Kinda sounds ridiculous. Believe it or not, this is actually a thing. Especially during cold and flu season when people are coughing and spreading germs everywhere. Going through that buffet line and kind of slopping all that food on the plate and stuff can get you sick. It's happened to me a few times. I have found, in fact, that generally speaking, I try to avoid the buffets at the hotel. I know they're a good bargain, and, sometimes it's good food. But for me, I don't know. I just feel like every time I've been to the buffet, I've ended up sick. Now, this is like anecdotal evidence, and I can't say that, oh, I definitely got sick from that buffet. I'm just saying I think that it's happened to me enough that for me personally, I kind of avoid it. Number 4, overdoing it. I am guilty of being a party animal. I love to party. I'm a party coyote. I love getting out there in suit. I love having a good time. And I am notorious for overdoing it. Now, overdoing it is probably why I'm sick right now. I try to have a great convention. I try to engage with as many folks as possible. But I think, at least for this con, I overdid it. Actually, I'm positive I overdid it. And overdoing it is a thing that's actually kind of easy to do. You might go out dancing for the night and dance until like 3 a.m. And then you realize that you are completely obliterated. Or you might realize that you might have only slept like 2 hours the whole weekend. These are pretty common things at conventions. But doing that to your body constantly kind of wears you down. It kind of wears down your immune system. It kind of brings you to a point where ultimately you can end up sick. And I have. And I am sick from that very experience right now. I still have a sore throat. I still have a cough. I'm still struggling with this stupid con-crud. Number 3. This one might sound a little weird. Not washing after going to the airport. Airports are very dirty places. Airplanes are very dirty places. I watched one of those, and I don't recommend watching these, but they do the little germ tests going through an airport and then going through airline seats and stuff. Some of those airline seats are dirtier than those public restrooms and stuff. They are just covered in germs. And it's honestly probably where a lot of con-crud starts. It doesn't start from the con itself. It starts from your initial exposure in the airports, in the airplanes, going through all that, because it's a high traffic area. You're getting people from all over the world traveling through these airports and carrying with them all sorts of random illnesses and germs and things that we might not have been exposed to. And a simple thing that a lot of people overlook is washing after going to the airport. And when I say washing, I mean change your clothes, take a shower. That's it. That's all you need to do. All right, number 2, sharing food and drink. Back in my day, I consider myself a mixologist. I love to make drinks. And a part of making drinks is you like to share that flavor with folks. You like to kind of pass it around and have everybody have a taste, have a sip. That can lead to problems. Kind of like I was saying earlier, the more people stick their mouth on that drink, and the more people that try it, the more germs you're intermixing and spreading around. And as I assumed when I was younger, and falsely so, the alcohol from the drink doesn't actually sterilize it. That alcohol isn't strong enough to sterilize it. You'd literally need rubbing alcohol or Everclear or something incredibly strong in order to sterilize that glass from those germs. So really, you're just passing around a little cesspool to people, and that will ultimately end in you or someone else getting sick. I know I've gotten the con-crud that way. I am 100% positive I've gotten it that way. I am without a doubt guilty of making that mistake more than once. Oh, more than twice. Okay, like way too many times. Just way too many times. And the same goes for food. I know. Captain Obvious Coyote here. Number one. Another seemingly common sense thing that I have just absolutely failed at. Oh my god. This one's kind of embarrassing. Sharing your fursuit head during cold and flu season. Really, what could be more obvious? Sticking somebody else and their sweat and their breath and all that condensation and gross stuff that happens when you wear a fursuit. Have them wear your fursuit. Put it on. So they've populated it with their own microflora of germs and bacteria, and then you put that on. Guess what happens? Take a guess. You're gonna get sick. Now, this isn't always the case. I've shared fursuits and I haven't gotten sick. It's just, be mindful around cold and flu season. I mean, it's just a common sense thing again that I commonly overlook because I'm a little impulsive and I like to have fun. Sharing your fursuit head is an easy way to get sick, and it's also an incredibly easy thing to avoid. You should always use a disinfectant spray when spraying out your fursuit. You should let it dry completely. You should let it dry between uses. You should try and keep it well aerated during conventions. And on top of that, you should keep it personal. If you do let somebody use it, make sure they wear a balaclava. Make sure you clean it out really well afterwards. And just pay general mind to cleanliness and hygiene. PSA moment. If you're sick, if you've been sick within a week of a con, honestly, you really shouldn't be attending. I know it might be something that you planned for. I know it might be something that you've already spent money on. I know it might be something that you've been looking forward to for a long time. But that choice can have a ripple effect, and that ripple effect affects a lot of other people. You can get people like myself sick. You can get your friends sick. Just try and be mindful. Be aware of the spaces you're attending and going to, and the people that you're interacting with. At the very least, let people know. Say, hey, we probably shouldn't share a drink. I've had the cold recently. Or, maybe don't give that person a big old hug or a smooch on the face if you know that you've been sick and you might still be contagious, but you're at the convention anyways. Just be mindful and careful and use common sense and have fun. Alright, now to shift gears completely and go into Ask Ash. So for those of you that don't know, Ask Ash is a part of the episode where I answer questions from you, my audience and fans. This week, I'm answering a few questions from folks here on the YouTube channel. Norman asks, is the fandom a nice place? And is it a place where people can be themselves? That is an excellent question, Norman. So the furry fandom has often prided itself in being an accepting group of people of all walks of life. I would say, generally speaking, this statement is true. Most furries tend to be very accepting of LGBTs. We're kind of an offshoot of nerd culture, so we get a lot of the nerds, the geeks, the sci-fi folks. That tends to lend itself to, kind of an interesting group. So how nice is the furry fandom? Well, I would say the furry fandom is very nice. It's a very warm and welcoming, accepting place. The fandom I've often considered to be a home for me. As a queer youth, growing up, it was a place where I could express myself in ways that I wasn't able to externally. It allowed me to experiment with my gender identity. It allowed me to find a place where I could feel at home and safe just being myself. It's funny how this concept of a persona or a fursuit can kind of seem abstract to folks on the outside. Putting on a mask or hiding behind an avatar. What's the deal with that? Well, it actually is something of a phenomenon. It's a very interesting thing. By existing behind that veil of anonymity, it allows one to express themselves and explore themselves in ways they might not otherwise do. Personas and fursuits really just allow us to interact with people on a different level. They allow us to experience life on a different level. They allow us to experience life in a way that is fitting and ideal for us. Alright, next question. Miller the Lion asks, have you ever hunted animals? Well, so the answer to this question is a little complicated. I was raised vegan and eventually vegetarian, and of course down the line I ended up becoming a carnivore for a little bit and then switching back to vegan. Now, in between all this, I had a variety of different experiences. So I had been fishing, of course, but mostly catch and release. The few times that we kept it, my friends would cook it and eat it, and I would just eat something else. As far as hunting goes, I've had a few different experiences. Now, I'm not quite sure if they'd classically be considered hunting. I learned a lot of survival techniques and stuff when I was growing up because we lived in the woods. We lived up in the mountains, and it was kind of a really wonderful place to grow up. But it's important to know how to catch food if you need it. And so I've trapped a rabbit before and prepared it. On a documentary shoot, they had us prepare a goat, and that was a very unpleasant experience, but I made it through it. Honestly, I don't know if I'd really consider those things to be hunting, though. I mean, it's not like I've gone out and hunted for deer, with a rifle or a bow or something like that. No, I've only really learned kind of the basics in that sense. Now, I don't have anything against hunting, and, being vegan at the moment, obviously I don't have a reason to go hunting unless it's for a tofurkey or something, but I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. Just mixed feelings. I mean, I don't really like harming animals, and I know that there's a degree of necessity for some folks when they hunt, and sustainability and, self-preservation, that kind of thing. I don't have a problem with it, but I don't actively pursue it. Cutter J asks, how did you and Chip meet? Well, I've kind of answered this question a few times before, but here we go. So Chip and I met when I was still in college. Chip had gotten a job out here, and he had recently moved into this townhouse that was kind of nearby the college I was attending. I had been trying to connect with the furry community for years, and I'd almost given up on it. But I had a furry friend who said, hey, there's this really cool guy that I think you'd like that you should come over and meet. Oh, and by the way, he's having a housewarming party, so, bring something. I was like, cool. Okay, so, I grab a 24-pack of beer. I end up showing up at this guy's house, knocking on the door, and I see this cute guy with red hair and glasses and piercing blue eyes open it, and I'm like, hi, are you Chip? I brought beer. I kind of looked at him, and I felt like we had an instant connection. I felt like there was a presence, like sparks flew across the room. So we got to talking, and we talked a little bit. We hung out. I think we went to KFC or something that day. Played some games on the PlayStation. Just, general house party stuff. And I went home. And stupid old me forgot to ask for Chip's number. So I hit up my friend and I'm like, hey, you know that guy whose party you invited me to? Can I have his number by chance? Or can you ask him if I can have his number? And he messages me back. He's like, funny you should mention that because Chip asked for your number from me too. And we started messaging back and forth. And I think within a week we became a couple. And that was 10 years ago. It really was one of those love at first sight moments. Sometimes you meet somebody that you just know you're connected to in some way, that you feel that presence with them, that degree of intelligence, being on the same level, being able to communicate with each other in a different way, being able to interact in a better way, being able to have a meaningful relationship like that. And while I still had a lot of maturing to do when I met Chip, I was 21 and I was very immature. Still, at that very day, I knew he was the one that I was going to spend the rest of my life with. Everyone deserves to find somebody like that. Alright, I think that's all I have time for, or at least all I can manage being in the state that I am. I hope you all have a fabulous week. I hope those of you that attended TFF and might have the con-crud right now, I hope that you all are feeling better. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you aren't already, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Again, let me know if you have any tips or tricks for avoiding the con-crud during this flu season. I hope you all have a fabulous day. Goodbye! A special shout out to all my lovely patrons. Starting with my superfans, we have Diana DePry, Jessica Rose, Brad the Fox Who Writes, Lazy Trash Panda, Beastly Drohan, Wolf Rider, Billy Dexter, and Elliot Excel. Next we have my fans tier with Ashira Pony, Snowwolf X, Veronica Fox, Bear Seneth, Passion Panther, Dan Fox TX, Nova Halvard, and Solace the Wolf. Finally, we have my early access tier with Tyler Bain, Tyler H, Scruffy Fincat, Elixir, Cosmo, Trey, Scaleth, Shadowfaxy, Tyler Furlong, Terralinus, Talijah, Cockernell, That One Canadian Zebra, Runes and Kaz, Jasmine Sawyer, and Mitsukatsa Wild Rose. Thank you all so much for your support. If you'd like to help me out and see my channel grow, please consider donating to my Patreon. We have lots of cool perks, including some fun merch, early access to videos, and having your question featured on one of my episodes in Ask Ash. The link is in the description below. I hope you all have a fabulous day. Thank you. Ew! Gross! Con-crud! Disgusting! Oh my god, this is gross! Boogers the badger, anyone? Sneasel the weasel? Barf the bear? The coughing coyote! You could be one of us!